Now I would like to invite Dr. Rana Asif, who will be moderating our panel session. So welcome, Dr. Rana.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Happy
Hello.
Diwali.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tehmina, for having me here. I hope everyone is hearing me clearly. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Okay. So thank you so much, and I hope we all have a great day today. So finally, we have our agenda, which we've been actually working for past 2 months or more, in fact. The panel of 4 different people. Actually, unfortunately, we couldn't have our 5th guest from Pakistan due to some of his personal issues. He couldn't join us, Mr. Adnan Faisal. But I'd like to welcome you all. Miss Attika Choudary, do we have her here? Yes. Hello, Attika. Then we have Miss Mariana Magatto. Hello. Then we have Vidhya Tiwari.
Hello.
Happy Diwali once again.
Thank you.
And then we
Happy
have
Diwali
Miss
to
Karuna.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Hello, hi.
Good day, everyone. I hope it's day and evening, and I don't know what exactly the timings are. So, yeah, let's begin. Miss Tehmina, are you going to begin, or shall I just do the honors?
Rana, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, since this panel, we have 4 of you only, and fortunately or unfortunately, Miss Tehmina will be actually our 5th panelist. She will be our guide, I support, and of course, our 5th panelist too. And she is actually replacing Mr. Dan Faisal, and she will have her own views we're sharing with us. So let's begin with our first question, which I'm actually going to throw to all of you all together. Maybe we start with Attika first, since you were not here last time. Attika, I hope you're feeling well today.
I'm good, thank you.
That's cool. So, media actually played a major role in this dissemination of COVID-19 related information to masses. I mean, when you talk about all these masses, it really did. During lockdown, especially in the UK, the media industry continued to play their role. They've been always like 24/7, they were available, giving views from all over the world. What was the strategy that actually adopted by TV networks and the news channel to operate while ensuring the safety of the employees?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and lovely to meet you all virtually. Well, I mean, I obviously don't deal with strategy myself because I'm a journalist and a presenter for organisations like the BBC and other places where I work. But we had to cut down our staffing, of course, like everybody else across the world, because we have 7,000 people who work in one particular building. So as you can imagine, all 7,000 people wouldn't be allowed to enter work. They took strict policy. I mean, you weren't able to allow to go in unless you had a set rota. So they were monitoring people going in and out. They were testing our temperature. Obviously, that was very key. We have a system that it's really funny, actually, because the first day I went back into work after so many months, you put your feet on the floor, and then you're looking at the camera. It's like being in the airport. I felt like I was at the airport at work. And so they screen test you just to make sure your temperature is doing, you're doing okay. So I think it was drastic changes. I think my corporation in particular were quite well sort of versed way before the pandemic in terms of going into lockdown. We were taking precautions already very slowly. I guess when you work in the media, you feel a bit more aware of things than most other organizations. And I think we had hand sanitizers in our building as early as, I think, February. And I was actually laughing about it because I was like, why have we got hand sanitizers in the building? Because we should be washing our hands anyway. So all these things are sort of kind of slowly leading us to lockdown. And then we've obviously had to cut down a lot of people working in the studio. And the only people, I mean, our work schedules change, presenters' work schedules change. I mean, there were less presenters in the working environment. So, so I think between March and August, all of us were working in a very different sort of environment. It was very weird, I'm not going to lie. I mean, so somebody like me who's always out and about meeting people, talking to guests, it was really weird talking to guests like this on virtually. Even now, when I talk to you guys, I find it very strange because I'm a face-to-face person, and so yeah. So it's been interesting. It's a new way of adapting. A lot of presenters, a lot of reporters. I mean, you'll be seeing us presenting as you've probably been seeing on World News. If you know you are all international, you'll be seeing a lot of reporters working from their home. So we've been working from home, and I think the way we've realized actually how you can work from home, that you don't need to be out and about all the time. You can connect with guests via home. But there are obviously stories. As a reporter myself, I have to get on the ground and go and meet people because it's more personable. And that, in that sense, I think it has changed a lot. And we don't really know what the future holds right now. I mean, a lot of us are still working from home. A lot of departments, because BBC is huge, by the way, just to let people know. I think people only see one element of the BBC, but it's radio, it's TV, it's online. There's so many different departments across the organisation. So a lot of the departments won't be going back till, I think, January. And even then, I mean, I don't know if you know, right now, we're in lockdown right now in the UK. We're still in lockdown. We've gone back into second lockdown in the UK. So you can imagine the frustrations that I'm sort of having. I'm like, I want to get back out there and meet people. So again, we're all working from home again, very limited staff in the building. You probably just see a presenter. And if you see the backdrop of the BBC, you will see it's really empty. That newsroom, I work there. It's so busy, like so full of people. And even when I look at it on the TV, I'm like, oh my God, where is everybody? So it's been, it's been interesting times for all of us here in the UK. And I think a lot of people have taken that sort of implementation across the world. I don't think we're the only ones who are limited staff in the building. I don't know what Pakistan is like at the moment, but from what I can tell, we're all social distancing, a meter, right?
Yeah, we also are trying to, having all these SOPs and protocols, but yes, we're trying harder. We also have a very important guest with us, the panelist from Brazil. She's an opera singer and a music educator. Yes, Miss, I'm talking about Miss Mariana Magatto. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. It's okay. It's it's morning here. I just woke up at 5 a.m. now it's almost 7 a.m.
Okay, so I'd like to ask this question to you, a quick question. Like during the lockdown, we saw many people actually all around the world, many artists all around the world collaborating online, doing different gigs, concerts, and different music. Even they made some new music. I mean, I remember some of the singers. He made almost 30 above songs in 30 days. Like, I mean, he had nothing just to make music. So while remaining like this physically isolated, how you and your fellow actually performers face this challenge? How did you all get this thing done? I mean, especially the music industry in your region. How did you all sustain when there was no physical any shows or concerts?
Yes, it was a real time of innovation, and mostly innovation comes from limitation, and everything has at least two perspectives. It's love polarity, and it gives us the ability to learn from the hard times and to manage it somehow. That made us break our conventional routine that wasn't created by ourselves. Actually, it was automatically filled by the needing in our environments, and it was not something we created, like my life is going to be like this or like that because I wanted. We were pushed by what society wants from us somehow, and suddenly changed. We needed to take the reins of our lives to get back the sovereignty, and we had more free time, and we're not used to deal with this much free time. We're not used to organize our lives, and because we always receiving things from the outside. It was an innovation in the opera theaters, because opera theaters all around the world, they are doing new things, they things they never did before, because mostly artists have no contract with the theaters. But it's a granted work because the artists are always in the seasons. So suddenly it's a situation where artists had no work. So they created platforms to do it online shows and sell tickets, and people that were used to go to the opera theaters bought these tickets online, and they are made in online shows. And it's still like this actually, because we're not allowed to have audience in the theaters. And around 2 months ago, the theater started to do new opera productions with reduced orchestra, with chorus and singers on stage, but no audience, and they are broadcasting it on YouTube and other platforms. And to sing is almost a physiological need. So in the beginning of these hard times, the singers started to record videos in their houses and started to share it on social media. And I think it's a very good thing, because art has an important role in the society, because I think it makes easier this hard time that we're going through.
Right. Sorry, I had some bad internet connection. I'm sorry for that inconvenience. So the next question I would like to ask Miss Vidhya Tiwari. I mean, how, with no events, no social gatherings, no meetups, no link ups, limited productions and slowed commercial activities, how did your industry cope up with the challenges? And like, what did you guys do in this difficult time exactly, like to teach you and your other industry fellows for this, like, who are actually working in the same profession?
So like everyone's going through a very hard time, Rana. I think, the events industry and guest listing and PR also, we took a hard blow to something like this. But then, like she said, innovation comes with limitations. And a lot of online events started happening. Also, it's not that we're not having physical events right now. We are. But, earlier we would invite maybe like a 200, 300 pack, for an event or something like that. Today, we are inviting maybe a limited number of 30 to 50 people. And instead of having a 2-day event, or, say an example, if you have a product launch, or you're having a jewelry show, or you're having the launch of a restaurant or a club or something like that, instead of inviting a lot of people at once, now we are doing slot meetings or slot invitations, and calling up people, asking them what slot they would like to come and visit us in, or come and see the venue, or come and look at the exhibition. So it's gone more personal, where you're meeting just 2 or 3 people at one time, and you're, instead of having like a 2-day exhibition or a 2-day launch, a 1-day launch, now it's the launch period is going on. At least that's what we are doing, like for maybe 5 to 7 days, to a week sometimes, and inviting people over, just a couple of them at the same time. So we're maintaining social distancing. The risk of getting COVID or passing on COVID is lesser, because there's not too many number of people. And of course, yes, the crowd has gone less. We're also inviting just a lesser number of people, instead of inviting a lot of into multiples of hundreds. Now it's like, how India and Pakistan are, we love inviting a lot of people for every little thing. But now, yeah, the crowd has gone less. And it's just a very niche crowd that's being invited, and only according to their time slots. And that's how we're maintaining social distancing and working towards. Also, we're doing a lot of different, like, this is the best time for masquerade parties. So what best to, so we're doing that. Yeah, going back to the 1600s, doing your masquerade parties and all that. And that was a big hit, actually, one of these events, but again, in a very small crowd, not in a very, not in multiples of hundreds, but instead a very small number. But it was a nice, good thing to do something like this. And when life gives you lemons, make lemonade out of it. So that's what I think, that's how we are trying to cope up with it and move further. Can you hear me? I don't know.
I think Rana is again having some connective issues.
Okay.
Thanks, Vidhya. That's great to hear. I know that India and Pakistan are very similar to their culture, and I understand how important it is for us to have celebrations, and happy Diwali to you today.
Thank you so much.
And because of this lockdown, there's no wedding, there's nothing, and sort of we are all feeling it. And I've actually had like I've attended Zoom weddings,
Oh, wow.
and
okay.
yeah, and so I'm like half dressed up till here for the Zoom wedding. I'm like jeans, wedding jeans, I just dressed up till here. So it's really interesting how we adapt and we cope. But yes, the physical aspect of it all is really, I think, heart wrenching. You know, it really
It
it
is,
does
yeah.
affect you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can totally relate to it and understand. Karuna, like, how would you like to share your experience and what's happening in your part of the world? How are you guys coping up, and especially in regards to what you do?
Hey, so I don't only work for media. I'm actually a banker as well. I work for one of the banks in New Zealand, and to be honest, I have to admit New Zealand hasn't had a chance to actually go through a long period of lockdown. So we entered a lockdown on March 26th, and by the end of, don't mind my dad just walking past. So by the end of, I think it was June, so mid-June, 8th of June, we'd had all of our lockdowns were over and we were in alert level 1. So basically we were back to having parties, back to having events. We didn't have to go through too much of a period where we weren't able to see each other. There was a chance where we had basically bubbles. So what our Prime Minister had created was the terminology that we stay within our bubbles, and our bubbles cannot exceed people more than 10 in alert level 3. So we had, maybe our neighbours, we were told to check up. So I'm not sure if you know, but New Zealand's actually a country with a lot of an older population. We've got it's called a retirement country. So there's a lot of older people that live here. So we were, told that anyone above 65 who's a neighbour, just look out for them, make sure you've checked in to see if their groceries are being delivered on time, if they're getting everything that they need. And more important than that, I think it was just looking after each other was it was a very big part of New Zealand, as opposed to worrying about events, because events are great. We do like to travel, we do like to go out and party and stuff, but it was a minute thing to give up in comparison to the lives, because we had a lot more lives at stake, because anyone above 65 was at risk, and we have way too many people above 65 for us to want to play that card of I want to go out and go to an event. I think, to be honest, I'll give it a bit of a touch wood here. I think New Zealand's played a wonderful role model to the world, a small little country that's managed to eradicate the virus. We've had a second wave come through. We've managed to contain that as well. We found another community case, just a few days ago. We're managing to contain that as well. So the purpose of what New Zealand's done is come together as a unity of a unit. We've come together and decided that we want to get rid of the virus once and for all, and then we can enjoy and reap the benefits of it later, as opposed to getting upset. So we had live streamed weddings. I have a family friend who's a photographer, and he did a live stream wedding, and we had 10 people at the wedding, which is completely normal for New Zealand. We don't, we're not big on our events, and like our shadis are not that great. So 10 people, it was like quite normal. And we had, I think, another 20 people watching on Zoom, as you said. But it was, as all of my colleagues here have said, they've said, innovation is led by limitations. That's exactly what we did. We've changed a lot of our things, but I think events weren't that big of a deal. So we've done a pretty decent job.
Yeah, thank you, Karuna. I do feel that New Zealand played a huge role as an example to the rest of the countries. I mean, you guys really curbed the virus well, and I hope that you can maintain it, because over here we're again hearing of countries like UK going into lockdown again, or they're already in lockdown. There are talks of Pakistan again going into lockdown. So I'm not really sure, how it's going to affect us in the second wave.
All right. I'm extremely sorry for the bad server and bad connection, because I am actually, one, not in my own city. Second, I'm in the capital of Pakistan, and it's just started raining. It's an awesome weather outside there. But please, my apologies to all of you, especially Ma'am Tehmina. I'm extremely sorry. So I'd like to I'd like to ask you all to just let's have a quick look at this show reel which we have just made for this conference show reel. So over to you, Mr. Limer. how did you guys find this video? I mean, I exactly don't have any word. Very depressing. Very. Maybe I'll be staying blessed all over the world.
Yeah, Rana, it kind of gives
So let me.
it kind of gives a reminder of what we had and what we don't have.
True,
I
true.
still, when we think about it, it's just like a scary. I mean, it's just like I don't want to even talk about it, but we actually are talking about this. So
I mean,
my next question actually goes to Miss Attika Choudary again. I mean, having, have come up with any innovative ideas so far. I mean, this all pandemic area, this all session. I mean, any processes in your profession for dealing with this kind of, especially pandemic. Like, what did you guys come up with?
I mean, I think it's innovation is a strong word right now to use. I think this is all very new to us, and I think it's going to take some time to adjust, to understand how to move forward. And I believe innovation is heavily dependent on technology, the advancement of technology. And I think that's the new way of how we're going to be seeing things. As Karuna said and others said, we're doing things via virtual. I mean, I like people attending weddings. I've got a wedding to attend in the UK of 10 people. And even that, I don't think I'll be attending because she's going to be cutting down her list of people because rules are changing regularly, in this country. I don't know if you're aware, we've had more than 33,000 cases. We're a small island in the UK. Just a few days ago, I mean, cases are rising every single day. And I think that we kind of really need to think about how are we going to be able to sort of not just communicate. Obviously, we are communicating using Zoom, and we are sort of looking at the future of, the perspectives of how we are going to not just work, but live, meet people. I mean, as Karuna said, we also had a bubble, but the bubble kind of, so you see, human beings, we're good at not adhering to rules when we're told to adhere to rules. And until we really take this really seriously, and I think there are some countries across the world, not just the UK, who are just not taking this seriously. And there are a lot of people, I mean, early on, in the first week of lockdown, we had 2 people who passed away, my dad's colleague and my dad's best friend's wife. And for me, it was a very emotional time having to deal with that. And I think we've got to think about how are we going to humans' mental health? I mean, the mental health cases are rising in the UK every single day. I launched a podcast. I mean, if you're talking about innovation, what I did was during lockdown is I had a lot of people reaching out to me. I guess when you're in a public eye, you feel responsible to a certain extent. And I launched a podcast, which is called Positive Solace during lockdown. It's now been nominated for an award. We have an awards event virtually next week. It was really unexpected, but the podcast is really to give people a platform where we don't always hear from the general public about real issues, about grief, about your mental well-being. And it was instant, it's in real time. And I think innovation will have to be real time, instant. And that's what people want right now. They want instant, real time. And I was able to do that. And I don't really like to, I like to think in the present moment. I don't like to think too far ahead because I think we need to start thinking about taking care of people foremost. And I think our organization has been really great. They've really taken care of a lot of people across the organization. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are losing their jobs as well as we speak. All of our future is very uncertain. So in terms of that, I mean, there are always limitations when it comes to, virtual. I mean, we are looking at AI maybe in the future. Who knows? I mean, the government here in the UK is taking one step at a time. And I don't think we've even thought about innovation in that sense. I think what we're trying to think at the moment is how can we cut the risks of people dying? How can we cut the infections of rising? And I think that for us is foremost important. I think we leave it to the scientists to do the innovation. I mean, we are obviously having a breakthrough with well, I don't know if you realize it, we just had an announcement made this week that we're going to have, in fact, the vaccinations will be ready sometime over the next couple of months. They've been doing testing. So I think there is a good hope. I mean, I think everyone wants things to happen very quickly. Life doesn't, I mean, Rome wasn't built in one day, was it? And nothing's going to happen in one day. We're just going to take one thing at a time. So I think for us personally here in the UK, I think we will be definitely dependent on technology. We'll be seeing weddings on Zoom, which I'll be, attending. I mean, like, everything's happening on Zoom. I mean, it's so bizarre that everything is happening on Zoom, and I'm still getting my head round. I mean, I'm trying to move my camera, going, do I look okay? Does my skin look okay? I'm still getting used to that, and I work in the media. Imagine what it's like, when you're faced by camera every single day. So I'm leaving it to the scientists to kind of think about the innovation. I think the media. I think, as you can see, I mean, if you watch the US elections, I think we sent out one presenter, Yada Hakim, and she did a grand job. We had the presenters already there. And I think the media industry has worked really well. I think that we've adapted, especially TV news in particular, and the film industry has worked quite well. And unfortunately, the music industry hasn't done so well because a lot of people attend music events. But I think they're getting there. I think, slowly we are realizing that the new way of meeting is virtual.
Thank you so much for this brief answer. Since we have Vidhya Tiwari with us, she's been, of course, into PR, and she's been the stylist for many things. She's been designing, and of course, she mentioned she loves to meet. And of course, I mean, in our culture, even people love to have large gatherings and everything, even at smallest events. So, how would you like to say, Vidya, on this new normal thing? How did you find this new normal? And I mean, how does it affect you and your professionals? The profession, actually, your colleagues along, and how this technology, I mean, this use of technology in any way helped you out? This new thing, I mean, bringing about any innovation in your line of work. How would you like to say anything about this, especially during this pandemic?
I agree with what Attika said, that everything's, suddenly Rome wasn't built in a day, and everyone's just trying to still getting used to kind of to this new pandemic and to this new normal of living. And so is the event industry, I think. And like you mentioned, I've been, into styling and designing. I had my studio. Unfortunately, I had to shut it down because it was just rents were piling up, and every month, you're paying lakhs of rupees, you're paying a rental, but you're not going to be expecting people. So now, what I've done is, I have a home office, and I was into, whatever styling and designing I was doing. Now I'm just doing it from home and more virtually. It's just more video conferencing, video callings, and sending your sketches, or even putting up looks together and sending them lookbook and stuff like that. That's how I started, doing things with regards to my designing and styling. And I think I lost Rana again. Okay.
No, I'm here. I just coughed. I put it on mute. I'm sorry. I just coughed.
Okay, no problem. And with regards to events, like I said, I've attended a virtual fashion show. So that was like a first of its kind again, the models walking, there's a ramp, there's everything set up, but then there's no people. We're all virtually watching it. And that was great. I mean, even, someone like Rahul Mishra launched his, for the Lakme Fashion Week that happened, the way they launched it, Rahul Mishra launching his lookbook instead of, having people attend the event. So I think, we're just trying to cope up with everything, and everyone's just trying to put in their heads together and come up with new ideas. Let's see what works and what doesn't, because it's too soon to say that, okay, this is all going to be fine, or this is not going to be fine, and this works and this doesn't, because people are still trying to adjust this. And how India and Pakistan are, how the Pan-Asian crowd is, people don't really take well to adhering to rules or discipline or even social distancing. There's a lot of people who would still not understand the seriousness of the situation. And I think that's why we're not able to control the disease as much as we should have. Like how New Zealand, people listen, or abroad, like in the Western countries, if there's something spoken, people take heed to it and listen. But India, Pakistan, and the Asian countries, I think first our population, we have so much of people who and how many are you going to try and explain and try to curb it? It's not possible, or at least not so soon. We'll really have to unlearn a lot of things and learn the new way of life. And going forward, I hope we can do that. So yeah, that's the way we've tried to live the new normal life.
In fact, I was about to ask the next question to Ms. Karuna Thawani. That Karuna, how your country is among the few actually who responded very well and quickly. I mean, for this COVID challenge. and most effectively. But in your opinion, what other countries can learn from yours, especially? And I mean, the strategies being used by yours, actually, the government, and considering the possibilities of a second wave. I mean, we have just heard from Attika that UK has had this second lockdown just started, I think 3 days back, and till December 4th, I guess. 1 week back, 8 days back. Oh, I'm sorry. You must be counting very well. Oh, so how would you like to say, Karuna?
Well, to be honest with you, first of all, I think we've got to give it to our leaders. People have put their faith in. I'm not sure if you guys heard about Ashley Bloomfield. He's our Director General, and he's taken over media. I mean, he was actually nominated for TV Personality of the Year, and he retracted the nomination, but it's because people trusted him, people believed in what he said. So every day 1:00 there used to be a COVID announcement, a press conference with all of the media, our Prime Minister and Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, and people understood what he was saying. They understood the science behind it. So I think the main thing you can do is trust your leaders. If they are asking you to go into a lockdown, they're not doing it to cause you harm. They are trying to save lives. And I think in New Zealand, what we did is we've got a charismatic Prime Minister. You all may know Jacinda Ardern, and I can see all the women nodding, and it's because you're so in love with her that people automatically believe what she says. So it was a little bit easier for us because we had a Prime Minister who we didn't totally hate, if I may say so. And so we looked at her and we thought, okay, if she's suggesting something, then we'll go with it. Then we had Ashley Bloomfield, and we have all these charismatic figures who were trying to explain to us, we're here to save your lives. And New Zealand took that. They took the advice. I think it's the main advice I'd give to people is listen to your leaders, try and follow what they ask you to do, and don't fight it. I mean, there was a small group of people who tried to fight what our people said. It's quite normal. People are always going to go against what people go. It's not possible for everyone to be drinking out of the same cup of tea. And there was a small group of people who protested, but what they did is in the second lockdown, we had an actual protest with people out in public. But during the first 4 weeks of the level 4 lockdown and the weeks after that in level 3, nobody actually broke the rules in a large mass. We had the odd people going out and about, and we had police catch them and say, hey, you're not meant to be out and about at this time. But no one in a large group or a gathering did something that was going to cause physical harm or health harm to any of our people. So I think the most important thing is realizing that you're doing this not for yourself. The main thing in New Zealand that we used is don't do it for yourself, do it for people around you. Imagine if that was your grandmother or if that was your grandfather. That was the kind of ads we had. That was the kind of campaigning we had. I'll say campaigning, but it was trying to keep everybody safe. So we had these COVID announcements that would go out, and the purpose of those announcements was to touch you emotionally and say, look, it might not be you. You might be a healthy, completely normal person, but the person next to you might be immunocompromised. You don't want to cause them harm, and you don't want to be the reason someone's died because you couldn't be bothered sticking to the rules. So trust your leaders is what I would say. Trust that they're trying to do you a favor. I do understand it's not always possible to trust leaders. There's a lot of issues going on with the US elections and so on. I won't comment on it politically. That's not my right to do so. But it is something that they are trying to do. They are given the job. You have more often than not democratically elected them, so it is kind of your job to let them actually do their job. You can't interfere and say, oh no, she doesn't know what she's doing or he doesn't know what he's doing, and then go, why do we have cases still? So most important thing is just listen. That's it.
I think, on a totally non-political note, let's go on to Mariana. Let's go something. Mariana, I'd like to ask you this question. Do you have any innovative ideas, like, how to deal with COVID, like situations with limited resources in your actually line of work? On a very lighter note. It's still mute.
Mariana, you mute.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
Mariana, you just unmuted yourself and then you muted again. So there's something from your side. Yeah, you're
Yeah, fair
unmuted.
enough.
Okay, now, yes. It's just what Karuna said about trusting the leaders. Or here in Brazil, it's a very, very difficult situations because our president just said, it's really sad, but our president said that COVID-19 is something that just doesn't exist, that we don't need to care about it, that we don't need to wear masks, that it's just a normal flu that we're going through. And so people, most part of people trust the president, and so it's increasing in a very bad way because of it. And what Vidhya said, we have to adjust a new way of life, and it's what we're going on. And here in my field, it's a big challenge to deal with voice, because everything to work with voice is a psychological work, because everything that we are as person in our personality goes to the voice. And in the first impact of lockdown, we had anxiety, fear, depression, insecurity, and I needed to solve it in a different way in the voice of my students. I think this isolation moment made us to have a deeper contact with ourselves. And I know this contact with ourselves, to some people it's not something easy, because in our daily routine, working a lot, doing a lot of things, we're not used to have this contact. And but I think it led to a creative process. As I said that other day, I gave that example about Isaac Newton, when in 1665 the plague took Europe, and he was in isolation. He just made incredible discoveries in the field of mathematics and hypothesis of gravitation. And so me, I'm just developing simple things. I am creating an online singing competition that it's going to be a great event in the city where I live, and I think it's going to give opportunities to young singers, because people are really stopped suddenly, and so I'm trying to do something to them. And every year I made a show with my students, because it's very important to give the opportunity to them to be on the stage. And now I'm just going to do this show with my students online. And so we're just in everything. And my biggest challenge now, that I have the idea to compose music that I never did before. But this moment with myself, it giving me more inspiration, and so I'm just creating something and try to develop it.
All right, thank you so much. Now I'd like to ask this next question to Miss Tehmina Lodhi. I mean, how would your life be affected if you face multiple pandemics, like, I mean, which we have been taking care of, and we are also hearing this, like, I mean, maybe going to have from 20th of this month in our country. So how would you take this? I mean, when there's no innovations, I mean, how do you take it on further?
Thank you, Rana. Yes, we are all hearing that there is going to be a second lockdown. I mean, one of my colleagues just told me, and I was in a bit of a shock then. But I wouldn't say that Pakistan has done no innovation, especially in terms of education. I would really say that, our government, the HEC has worked very hard to kind of put education online. I know for myself, in the College of Media Sciences at Ziauddin University, we transitioned literally from in person to online in a week. And that meant not just the students, it meant that we have to train ourselves, like the tutors have to be trained. And I'm very thankful to especially our institution that kind of gave us platforms where we could quickly train ourselves and train the teachers and get online. But obviously, it's not easy. especially when you talk about education in terms of media, where you're doing a lot of practical work. How do we take all that practical experience online, where you're physically supposed to be engaging with a student? But overall, I think we managed quite well, and this is our second term where we are doing our classes online, and I really feel that we have learned, and a lot of support from community, from teachers, from like-minded people who are always there. Like, there's so much going on online, on webinars and seminars and workshops. So I think that we've really engaged ourselves to improve. And I would really like to, when Attika was talking about the podcast that she started, and Mariana is talking about how mental health, is being affected. I'd like to say, because I'm myself a trainee psychotherapist, and I was, I transitioned online with my clients overnight, because obviously if you're seeing somebody who needs, help mentally, you can't just abandon them. So I transitioned online, and it was like I was training myself online and also, helping these people. And I think we all as a community managed. I mean, if you talk about innovation, the innovation is that the human soul, I think is so resilient, that you kind of just take on. There is no break. So we all did it, and I'm really proud of myself and my team, and I'm really proud overall that I mean, look at this conference. I mean, this was supposed to be a real in-person conference, which we'd been planning for a couple of years. And we still managed to go online and get you guys from all over the world. And I think in a way, it kind of worked out, because I don't know if you guys would have been physically able to come. So I'm really, in a way, I think that's amazing. And I'm really thankful to all of you that, you kind of come here, share your experiences, and let us know what's happening around the world, because it's so important. But on I think the experiences are same no matter in which country you're living in. We are all humans, and we all have emotions, and I think emotions don't change wherever you may be. So I think that connectivity is with all of us. So I'm really grateful for that platform.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, Atika, there's another question for you. In fact, for all of you, but I'd like to ask you first. I mean, how limited do you think this COVID-19 era has made in terms of innovation? How do you think? I mean, it's gone that it's mute, I guess. From yeah.
Sorry, you mean how limited it's been? How limited COVID-19 has made what? Sorry, the innovation? I think he's frozen.
Frozen again. Yeah.
How limited it has been. Like,
I mean, I'll go back to what. Sorry, was it Malia? Is it Malia?
I'll repeat again. No issues. I think there's actually.
So I didn't catch I didn't catch the conference presenter's name. Is it Malia who was just speaking just a few moments ago?
It's Tehmina.
Tehmina.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name earlier on. I mean, I think I'll go back to what Tehmina has just said. I think, we're all kind of in this together, and we're all still learning. And, this is a great example of today, how we've all gathered from across the world. I mean, one beauty of COVID, what it has done, it has brought the whole world together. We are sitting here, I'm talking to someone in India, in Brazil, in New Zealand, in Pakistan. I mean, what an amazing opportunity this is to meet people virtually, where we never really did this before. And I think this is an innovation in itself. We're beyond innovation. I think it's wonderful to see humans coming together, sharing their experiences. I feel there's always going to be limitations, whether we were living, I mean, there were limitations before we were pre-COVID-19. We were so busy before COVID-19. We didn't even have time for human beings to sit and have a conversation, to ask them how they were. I mean, the fact that we are doing that now, the fact that we're checking on our neighbors, our friends, I mean, we're so fortunate we have modern technology. If this happened 100 years ago, none of us would have a mobile phone. We wouldn't have laptops to communicate with. We are so lucky. And I think that's what I go by every day being so grateful that I can pick up a phone my friend, my family. I mean, I just wonder how it would have been if we were living in the 19th century in London somewhere, So I think, innovation for me is that we as human beings, like Tehmina said, we adapt, we are resilient, and we are coming up with new ideas. Every single day, we are working with new ideas, whether it's someone, in the music field, whether it's someone who works in events, we're all coming up with ideas every single day. I mean, even this event where we're having conversations. I mean, when I did my Positive Solace podcast, I did it because generally I care about people, and mental health is such a big problem all over the world. And I wanted to really give people a platform, to have their voices be used and heard where we perhaps wouldn't, as I mentioned earlier on. And, if you look at my if you do have a moment, do check it out. I mean, it helped me understand myself in so many ways that I didn't even know. I was able to communicate in a different form, and it was wonderful, and it gave me a platform to even openly speak about how I was feeling, because as a presenter, as a reporter, when you're giving news or whatever, you can't get emotion, you can't get emotional, it's a different way of presenting. So I think, we all adapt, we're all learning, and I'm definitely learning a lot about this. I mean, I'm learning every single day, even right now having these conversations. I've learned from every single one of you, and I hope that I continue to do that and take it on board and maybe give me a new idea to do. I mean, I'm a sort of person who likes to be busy anyway, so I'm trying not to be too busy at the moment in this lockdown. I'm trying to take it easy, and I want to get back into the old sort of things when I was a young kid, painting again and reading poetry, those sort of things that we kind of took for granted. And I think that for me is called innovation in that sense. But like I said earlier on, I believe the advancement of technology is where the future is, and that all depends on how we take that forward. But yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Attika. I think, you summed it up really well. And of course, I mean, the fact that, it gave us time with families, working from home was this new way of working. I think that kind of really helped as well, because as you're right, we didn't have time. We're also busy doing whatever we're doing. I think we kind of overlooked what the real true meaning of family is, and I think this time kind of gave us that opportunity to connect with people, and be there in physical with at home. And some found it difficult. Some people found it difficult to be home so much. And yes, it was challenging because we're not used to being home like 24/7, and we had to spend a lot of time with a lot of people. But I think that kind of did also help us emotionally connect back with families, and ask and sit on a dining table and eat together. That was something for me, I would say, because with this busy schedule, I really wasn't finding time to sit down and have a dinner with my family. So I think I found that really interesting. I wonder how it worked out for you guys and your families. I mean, what kind of connections did you make with families? Vidya, would you like to share how it was like in with you? Vidya, you're mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, and with regards to families, I think yes, just not just with families, I think just the human connection, which we seem to have lost when the pre-COVID era. I think we all were just so busy with our lives, and sometimes so busy doing nothing. We didn't have time for real things. We had time for everything else in the world, but even for ourselves, we didn't have time for ourselves. And I think this lockdown has really shaken each one of us to ground reality and brought us to this place where we're thinking about what the future holds for us, what life's meaning or purpose really is. Where some of us have lost near and dear ones. We've been thankful, some of us, that we've not gone through something like this. And none of us know how to deal with the situation, because for, I think, the first time in a very long time, the entire world is in it together. We are all feeling connected, though we're disconnected, but we are all somehow connected through this, this bizarre, events, strange happenings. And this disease has brought the entire world together, which is a very strange thing, not a happy thought, but finally, I think somewhere we are all connected now. And I think that's the best part, that the human emotion somewhere has risen. People are now learning or going back to understanding how to connect with their families. And yeah, I think, just staying with families, not pulling your hair out, and, just learning to adjust and learning to be with them, surround them and yourself with a lot of love. Firstly, surrounding yourself with self-love and then spreading it out. I think each one of us has learned that. Some of us have had issues and problems. Some of us have just learned to let go and seek what life has brought, seek what life is all about and brought happiness. And some of us, I think, have just not been able to adjust so well. So I think each person is going to deal with it in a different way. But yeah, family connections have become stronger. Personal connects have become stronger, though we are completely, away from each other. We're distancing from people, but still, I think that human connect now is growing, which is a good thing somewhere.
Rana, I think you're going to have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was about to do that. Yeah, I was so much actually thinking about this all because I was supposed to be at this campus at Ziauddin University today, back in my city, but unfortunately or fortunately, due to some work, I am traveling, and extremely, sorry for all this inconvenience, Ma'am Tehmina, and everyone of you. Like, I know you are from all over the world, different parts of the world, and this internet breaking up is really messing up. But
It's all right, Rana. I think we're having a nice conversation. I think we're able to carry through. And you just pop in and out of all these females who are talking. So that's all right. We're managing. Yeah. Mariana, how about you? Like, how is it like in Brazil, especially with the younger generation? How are they managing? Because I know Brazil is a country where, it's full of life and music, and that's what at least I've seen from the media. So what about the young population over there in Brazil? How are they managing with this pandemic and this restricted way of life?
That's what we said. It's very, very difficult, especially to young people, I think, to be home. And we're spending a lot of time home, and young people are not going to schools. They are having online classes. All the schools here in Brazil are closed, but they are having online classes. And I talked to some friend that is a psychiatrist, and he said that the mental diseases increased a lot, especially in young people. Some children are just panicking. Some children just don't want to go out of their houses because they think that the disease is all there everywhere. And in children, I say that they don't want to come back to school. But it's something that younger people have a bigger consciousness of it all, because they just don't listen to our leaders here. But we're going to a bad situation because of the way people, our president, are leading the things here. But I think we all need to focus in the good perspective of it all, because I think that everything in life has two perspectives, two different polarities. And so I think it's a time that we are having to have more contact with ourselves, to spend more time with our family. And because sometimes we feel like losing a freedom, but a freedom that we never had. Actually, we never had this freedom, because we were always occupied with things that were not that important, just doing things in an automatic way. But now we're seeing things to another perspective. And I think that sometimes we humans do that. We give value to things that before, after losing it. It's really bad, but it's like this. And so what is Attika said, that we're still learning. And so I think we need to use this time, this moment, as a process of learning to increase as humans. And I think it's the most important, that the biggest innovation of it all is to become better humans, to use this situation to increase as person.
So this one question which I've been actually, wanting to ask you all, ladies, like, how do you think? How do you expect this 2021 next year would be? How do you expect this all is going to be? Let's start with Miss Tehmina, from you.
Well, Rana, I hope it's going to be different from 2020. That's my hope. But I think the reality is that we're going to, in my opinion and how I'm looking at things, I feel that we're going to continue in this situation for some time. And I think we all need to learn and adapt and not stop and not give up. Like I said, the human race is very resilient. And, look where we were in March to where we are now. So I think that we've all grown over this journey, especially I feel that I have grown. And, when you were talking about what good has come out of COVID, well, I certainly feel for myself personally, and this is probably the females will agree, I saved a lot of money on clothes. I didn't have to buy new clothes. I don't know if you'll all agree,
Yeah,
but
true.
yeah, so that's something that that was good, and but I really feel that as a community, even when we come out of this pandemic, I think we have learned very valuable lessons that we need to carry with us, and keep this kind of bond, globally. I mean, this was an opportunity where we could bond, but I really feel that more of such sessions should happen, and we should have communication, and we should know what's happening. I mean, just before this panel discussion, we had our plenary speaker, Dr. Callis, speak about Nigeria and how art, she showed us art of Nigeria during this pandemic, and it was really eye-opening. So, if we really want to see what's happening in different countries, and I think dialogues like these are very important, and they should continue even after the pandemic is over. And again, I'd like to, from my side, all of you, I would like to thank you all for joining in today, and thank you for sharing your experiences, and let's stay connected. That's what I feel, that we should all stay connected in the future as well. Thank you.
Thanks to you for choosing me as a moderator and having us all together with this lovely session. I mean, where we interacted actually. I mean, I happened to meet these lovely ladies from all over the world. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thanks.
Tehmina. Thank you, Rana, I think. And thank you, all the amazing panelists, Mariana, Attika, and Karuna. Thank you so much. It was such a great, pleasure to be on the same platform with you all and, share ideas and learn and just so much of knowledge sharing. And I think just, human emotions coming together. And like Tehmina ma'am said that, we should do this more often. I think, yes, definitely, because it's something that the human connect should not, die down. I think, yeah, that's the most important thing.
I can't.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. It was really such a great pleasure to be here with you and to listen to your experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I hope that we all can connect after this. We have to exchange social media contacts. So Rana or Mayor, please connect us, or it'd be wonderful just to stay in touch. I mean, I've learned so much again. I mean, media is a great, powerful tool, which is why I became a journalist and a presenter in the first place, where I can connect with people and share their stories. And I think today we're all doing that, sharing each of the stories. And I think 2021, like I said, I have faith in God. I hope that he is listening to us and he guides us on the right path, and that he forgives us for all the things that we have done. And I feel that as human beings, although there are some people, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic about this, there are some people who are still very ignorant to the situation. We have to be honest at times. There's some people out there who are very, they think this is all made up, but it's real, and we've got to take this seriously. And I think that, whilst we want to be positive, I think the outlook of the next year will be, each country will have its own. I think we could take at least another year going through lockdowns. We've lost a lot of businesses in this country. So my favorite cake place got shut down in London. It was so sad. I used to go there all the time. So there's so many things that have happened. And I think, we just got to move forward and continue looking at a positive outlook, stay connected with friends, family, be kind to each other. I mean, simple as, we, at the end of the day, my mum's always said to me, no health, no wealth. And the other things she's always said to me, one thing's guaranteed in life is death. So those two things I take with every single day, you know, reminding myself that life is so short, and enjoy the moments that you do have, and be you and be kind. So thank you so much, all of you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. I woke up early this morning in my hoodie and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, so this has been great. You know, I'm wide awake now.
He's touched the 15th of November in New Zealand, so it's a late night for me here, but I'd like to say a very big thank you to everybody as well. I think it's been wonderful to hear everything that's been going on around the world. As I'd like to, you know, say that there's a bit of a disconnect with the media. When I search up the news, it only brings me the New Zealand news. We're quite a small little country, a little island that sometimes is forgotten off the map. But, you know, so it's nice to be able to hear from people directly within the country, central to everything that's happening, what's going on. And yes, you're right, Attika. The cake place that got shut down, that must be devastating.
Yeah. I'm a cake person. I love cake.
We all do. Who does not?
But you're right. There's a lot of businesses that have been lost as well. A lot of families have lost family members. But it's about staying strong and being kind to each other. So that's all that we can say. But thank you so very much for having me on this panel.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.